Hello everybody, this is Drmcbrick and I am excited because we have Popeye. That's right, Popeye. And I grew up with Popeye. Finally, an officially licensed set from Popeye that is a brick built set. And this is by Pantasy. I've never built one of their models before, but I am excited about this one because look, it comes with Popeye, olive oil, even Sweet Pea and Blue Toe, and all the gang. This is a great set from what I can see so far. I'm anxious to start building it. It has tons and tons of homages and Easter eggs to the original Popeye series and to all the Popeye series for that matter, and the movies and things like that. So we're excited about it. We're going to build it, and then I'm going to show you all about it and show you all the features of it and talk a little bit about the history of Popeye and also kind of what Popeye meant to me growing up as a kid. So let's get started. Okay, so when I take it out of the boxes, I am immediately struck with each numbered bag, and each numbered bag of course has the Pantasy kind of flamingo color on it, so you know where they're from. They're in plastic bags, and they're all numbered very well, and then there's the extra pieces, the large pieces, like you see the hull pieces there, some plates and some masts and some things, and then a few extra pieces and some stuff on some sprue that you might need. These are, I think, the only stickers that come with the set. So there's, you know, olive oil and the spinach sign and Popeye, both in English and in Chinese. There's a card that's given, and I don't read Chinese, so I'm not sure what it says, but I imagine if you hit that QR code, you probably go to their site or something. It might be a discount. And speaking of discount, you can use the discount code that I will be throwing up down below to buy this set at a discount from Pantasy. So they have sent me this set, and so full disclosure, but the reviews and everything I say is my own. I don't get anything from it, so you know, I just like building sets. And Popeye I grew up with, and I grew up with Popeye, and is very, very special to me, to my friends in the neighborhood. As we were growing up, we used to stand at the school bus and talk about Popeye all the time because we'd always watch Popeye before we'd go out to the school bus. It was kind of the cartoon that was on throughout the day and stuff. So anyway, so this manual is really cool. It's very much like a Lego Ideas manual in terms of when you open it, it's going to the black color here, and has everything in terms of the designer and shows you the model and stuff. And it also tells you, because this is a fully licensed and official set from King Syndicate, it tells you about the movie Popeye. And what I love about this, and I'm not going to spoil it for you, but what I love about this, it's both in Chinese and in English, and it talks about a side of Popeye that a lot of times people don't think about. And so it really tells me about the company and how they care about people. Another thing that they do that I would love to see anyone that does any type of IP type of official sets is they show you the Easter egg in the set, and then they show you the film clip from where that comes, and they talk about it a little bit, both in English and in Chinese. And so I won't spoil it for you because I think you might want to, when you get the set, you know, it's something that's really cool to read. But I really love the fact that they show literally the video clip or the clip from the film from back in the 30s with the Easter egg that they have on the actual model. So I think that's great. Of course, they provide all the same things Lego does as well in terms of, you know, here's what to do, here's how to build and all that sort of thing, extra pieces. And I love this here where it says, if you're missing a piece, calm down. They're accidentally lost in the corner in most cases. That's so true. As A-Falls, we know that, right? We know that pieces get lost. And if you are really missing a brick, then you can contact their customer service. But their manuals are laid out just like Lego, and each bag builds a particular part. So unlike a couple of other non-Lego sets that I have built, or Lego compatible sets that I have built, where you just have to dump all the pieces, even though they're in numbered bags, you just have to dump them all out. This actually you build per bag. So you see there are ton of bags, 15 bags. This is going to be the biggest set I've built since my brain surgery, so it's going to be an interesting challenge. But one of the other things I like about it, and I marked it here. Again, they have all of the same as Lego in terms of you know, the highlighting of the brick and where it pieces together and puts together and stuff. But they also provide throughout the manual these instructions, like this is the module you built next, right? And then it says, like down here, for instance, it says that you know, this right here. Oh, sorry about the camera work. This is the length mark of the piece. 8 means the piece is 8 studs long. Pieces marked with stars are metallic. And so it really kind of goes over all of the different things that you would do. So now as an AFOL, you know, or as somebody who's, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, you know, or approaching 60 like me, you might say, for gosh sake, I know that already. But think about this. For somebody just building a brick set for the first time in their life, looking at all this stuff, and they want to build this, but they've never built any Lego set or any brick built set, these are great instructions. You know, for instance, when building, please pay attention to the assembling position of the white parts. You know, that means make sure you line it up correctly and things like that. This was built in step 25. It's step 30. Use this from step 25. Lego does the same thing. Lego does it visually, and they assume that if they have a Lego set, everyone knows how to do it. But the nice thing about this is not only is it in Chinese, but it's also in English, and it really explains kind of how to build it as you go along. So with that said, we're going to build it and go along and see what happens. Okay, so this was the biggest model that I've built since my brain surgery 1 year ago. This is a beast. I mean, here's my hand, right? And look at this. This is a beast. It took me about 7 hours to complete, and it is just so detailed. I mean, if you are a Popeye fan, and you will find all kinds of details and Easter eggs and homages to the series Popeye, to all the different things and to everything that's Popeye. If you don't like, I mean, if you're not a Popeye fan, I would encourage you to take a listen at this review. And by the time you're done, hopefully you'll have a better appreciation for Popeye. Now, Popeye came about in the height of the, well, at the beginning of the Depression, really, and was one of the spin-off characters, actually, of a series called Thimble Theater. And now Thimble Theater featured the oil family, olive oil. There was castor oil, I believe. There were the Jeeps, if you remember those. Those made it to the Popeye series as well. And then there was ham gravy. And so anyway, so that would have been around for about 10 years. And in 1929, right when the Depression started, Popeye, the character, actually showed up. Ham Gravy was trying to rent a boat, or trying to get a boat, a steamer, to go to do some of their funny stuff that they used to do on that cartoon series. And in terms of cartoon series, meaning at that time in the newspapers, William Randolph Hearst of Citizen Kane fame and of the publishing magnate at the time had started comic strips. And Thimble Theater was a very successful comic strip, but it just hadn't taken off that much. Anyway, Popeye was announced. He came out as a captain, and Ham Gravy was looking for a person to take him and or castor oil and olive oil and stuff like that out on the sea. Well, they came up across this old craggly man with a weird voice and kind of a strange Popeye look, and just really kind of old and really looked kind of disheveled and stuff and talked weird. And anyway, they asked him if he was a sailor, and I think he said, what I look like, a cowboy or something like that, and that kind of started the whole thing. Well, anyway, a long story short, Popeye became kind of the first spin-off character of a series because he became so popular. His character at the time was so popular by the way he looked and the way he talked and stuff, that he took over. And soon Thimble Theater was just kind of done. And olive oil was carried over. Castor oil was carried over for a little bit. And then he turned into the wimpy character, the hamburger character. And then Bluto was brought in and stuff like that to have kind of a love triangle between Popeye and Bluto. So that series kicked off. During the 30s, Popeye actually was more popular in a lot of ways than Mickey Mouse. and actually the ratings for the Mickey Mouse cartoons weren't as great as the ratings for the Popeye cartoons. And the man with the spinach has all kinds of pop culture significance in our country, and for our society and stuff like that. And this model, I've been waiting for a brick built model that is a Popeye steamer ship, and anything with Popeye. I've just been wanting anything with Popeye, and I thought about building my own mocks and things. But as you can see, the Hearst Company and King Feature Syndicate and Turner, they all have the rights to this, and they held on to them for a long time. Now, this is a fully licensed set, as we had said before, so it is legal and legit as far as everything we can see and tell, and it definitely has the trademarks all over it and things like that. Not so worried about that. And you know what? It really does show the Popeye character and all of the different features of the series. For instance, if you look up here, this is supposed to represent Popeye's pipe, right? And remember how he used to smoke a pipe, and he had that kind of corn cob pipe and everything like that. Now think about it. In the 1930s and 40s, Popeye was an old guy who lived in a little tiny room in a tenement apartment, right? Wasn't fancy. He wasn't somebody who, you know, was the smartest, sharpest pencil in the bunch, that sort of thing. But he tried, and he had a good heart, right? And he tried his best. And so that character became extremely popular in our culture because of that, because he was the everyday person. Look at this. Here is his hat, the sailor hat that Popeye wore. They made the ship with his hat on here. And this is a lookout here. This was where Popeye and Olive Oyl used to stand and look out. There's the telescope right there that they made. All of these things kind of bend and move around so you could see it for real and all that sort of stuff. This also comes off. And I'm going to take off some of the pieces to show you the insides of things, because the details are so amazing on this set. Some really cool details. For instance, this particular navigation set, it works depending on how you want to navigate it. It goes up and down and all that sort of thing. And of course, our wheel turns. That's nothing new for a lot of ships. And this right here is a really cool feature. There's a Technic mechanism in here that this actually sticks on here. I just took it off because I wanted to show you this. And this lowers and raises the anchor. And so that's really cool, because the anchor, of course, was what it was on Popeye's arms, right? On his forearms there. And he had those big forearms and everything like that. There's some really cool prints in terms of the navigation systems of the boat. All kinds of steam type of things going on and all that sort of thing. There are stickers. There are a couple of stickers, as you see this Popeye sticker down here. It's in Chinese as well, but it goes over 5 or 6 different tiles. And I know in Lego that's a no-no, but for this, you know, I wish that would have been a print. The King Feature Syndicate tile is a print right here with the trademark and everything. So I don't know why they didn't do the Popeye one as a print as well, but it is what it is, and I am what I am. Anyway, here's a fishing, a fishing thing that Popeye used on a couple particular scenes, as a matter of fact, or not scenes, but I guess cartoons, where he caught fish with this. This actually works. You can actually lower the boat by turning this handle. Now, I'm not going to do it because I don't want it to get it kind of cattywampus and stuff. See, it's already getting, but this launch will launch the boat down. And this boat, if you remember, Olive Oyl and Popeye used to sit in here and just kind of have some romantical type of things go on there in the boat. If you remember, he used to take her out and give her roses and wildflowers and stuff. Now, the spinach can, of course, is right in this boat is used as the engine, and I think that is just absolutely awesome. This boat is powered by the spinach, and of course the Popeye the Sailor Man theme song became one of the most popular songs of the day, of the 30s and 40s, and even up until today, people still know it. Where it's Popeye the Sailor Man, blah blah blah, that sort of thing, and they still know it and they still talk about it. Spinach was used because when uh, I think it was the Fleischer Studios had syndicated this show, and I think this is correct. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. But he thought that spinach, the person who ran it, one of the studios, thought that spinach was something that kids should be eating because it had a lot of iron and stuff in it, which that's debatable. But anyway, it was interesting because a year after the spinach was introduced and Popeye, popped it in his mouth and ate it and everything and became strong, Popeye actually was one of the first superheroes that we had in this country. Even predates Superman. So in terms of comic books and things like that, Popeye was there before Superman was there. So, and he was a superhero, right? He would eat that spinach and he'd become strong, and all of a sudden he'd be able to solve things, and sometimes maybe in kind of, a brutal way, especially when it came to Bluto. He would beat him up, and stuff like that. But anyway, spinach is very cool. I thought it was really cool the way it powers the ship. And if you look down here, you can see all of these cogs and all these mechanisms and everything like this. It's really cool the way they build it, because they build all of the cogs and all of the different mechanisms inside underneath here to turn the propeller. And so I can turn it up here on this wheel, and it's very, very discreet. It's gray. It's not one of these big kind of Lego-ish red type of things. But you turn this, and of course the steam pipes start moving. And then as you go down, the wheel starts to turn as well. So you can turn that as fast as you want or as slow as you want. And it really starts to turn, and it's just kind of a cool feature. So, not only is it a great display piece, but it's really a cool play piece as well. Now, remember there was a scene in one of the Popeye cartoons where Popeye was up here and he was scrubbing down the stacks, and he was talking about how he thinks olive oil is really going to love this, and all that sort of thing. So that's an homage to that. But all of the gearing, all of the piping, everything, it just moves and moves around and stuff like that. There's the whistle that Sweet Pea, remember, used to beep, beep, boop, and all that sort of thing, and pull and everything like that. You go inside here, you can just see the detail. They used a lot of powder-coated gold, which I really, really like. The navigation instruments inside there are nice and printed, and they have different types of prints on them, so they're not all the same. There's the horn, things like that. And one of the main features that I really, really thought was cool about this is, you see this here. Well, you see that kind of comes apart. Well, there's a little locking mechanism here. If you unlock that mechanism and you pull, let's just pull this out, you get this great scene. And this is all kinds of great goodness from the Popeye series. Look, there's the weight bench. There's the 500 pounds that he used to lift once he had his spinach, all that sort of thing. There's all kinds of gold. And remember, there were treasure hunts that he used to go through. There's the balloons. And not only are they down there on the floor, but if you lift this up, and I won't spoil it for you, but there's also, oops, you can kind of see one, there's a bunch of stuff underneath of this chest as well. Here's a drilling mechanism. Remember when they had to drill through things? This moves as well. You can take this out, the map. I like the fact they put a flower in there. That's kind of cool. And again, all of this stuff is really stuff that, that works, that moves. You can, the prints there for the spinach. There's all kinds of spinach down there. You can see it on the shelves. There's a can of spinach down there as well. But that's a nice feature as well. And even inside, I don't even know if you can go inside, but you can see there's actually, if we can get in there and focus, there's actually a steamer in there. So you can kind of see some of the engine workings and inner workings of the ship and all that sort of thing. Now, again, a lot of this comes off in modular style. So you can actually, not only is it a great display set, as I said, but you can also use it for playing, and it's a great play set. It's a wonderful play set. You can take it off. It's not attached to the base. It's just right. You see, it just comes right off. I don't want to take it off because I don't want to drop it while I'm doing a review. But all kinds of great things. You know, the gauges and everything like that. Again, so much gearing and things like that in order to gear things down and to make things move and all that sort of thing. The brick Technic brick built sails, a lot of piping and things like that. I mean, even details down to the portholes to where you know, you keep the water from going in. If any of you have ever been on a steamer ship or a tug or a barge, they have these that kind of come down. They're basically hurricane type shutters that come down, so when the water blows up onto the deck, it doesn't go into the windows and stuff like that. So there's just so much. Now, I will tell you, one of the things I found, and this is not unique to this company, this is actually a problem that most brick companies have, because they don't package a lot of the bigger pieces in plastic. And so this particular, the part of the hull ship, both sections of this have come, and they're pretty scuffed up, which is a bummer because one, this blue really shows the scuffs, but two, it's you know, it's always a bummer. So I wish that all brick brands would just wrap these. And I know it costs a little bit more and stuff like that, but put them in a plastic bag. That would be great. But again, this is not Pantasy. This is actually all brick companies, Lego included. Lego does the same thing with this, and it's just one of those things that we have to live with if we're going to build brick sets. Okay, so you can see inside now, and you can see inside the galley. There's a fire extinguisher there with a nice print, some really nice printed gauges and things like that. You go in here, oh, and there's a wonderful picture of Popeye on olive oil, and then some of the steam engine and things like that inside with the windows and stuff like that. So it's really kind of cool. You can just lift this off. You can look at this and look at all the kind of just amazing piping. Again, powder coated silver, powder coated gold. I really like the fact that they do that. I think that gives it much more class in terms of the stacks and things like that. I just like the way they do it. And I think on this particular model, going with the Technic type of sails makes a lot of sense. This model here, and I'll try to put this back as we look at it here, and it's so hard to get in the camera because it's pretty much, you know, absolutely freaking huge. So anyway, so if you were looking for a set to be able to pretty much do every type of build, this is the set. This is the set because this has regular brick building. This has all kinds of gearing and teaches you and shows you how to put gears and cogs together and gear down for speed and things like that. It has all kinds of Technic pieces and parts, a lot of studs on the side construction. It has molding or how to sculpt and things like that, so you get the boat look. It also is a boat, which also helps. I mean, it doesn't float, but it does help you to learn how to put hulls together, how to connect them and all that sort of thing. It has pretty much every type of element that you would want to use. So that combined with the way that the instruction manual is laid out, to me, is really, even though this is a set made for folks who are more, you know, AFOLs, I do think that kids can give this a try as well, because it has so much playability to it, and it also has all of the building techniques. So if you have never done a Lego set or a Lego compatible set in your life, if you built this model, you would pretty much know how to build. I mean, even how to string, how to run things. You would pretty much know how to build most things that were brick built, Lego compatible, and such like that. So this is a great set to really teach you. The manuals are set up very, very nicely. I really like the way they are. I'm going to show those to you one more time because I think that you'll really like them. This is something I wish everyone did, as I said before. Show the vignettes. So all the stuff, all of the Easter eggs in the model, they show the vignettes where it came from. Excuse me. A lot of brick companies basically just show you Easter eggs in the model itself, but they don't tell you where they come from. So you have to kind of know where they come from, or you have to know the story behind it, but they don't really tell you the story. They let you make up the story, which is good in and of itself. And of course, this company has 2 Popeye models. This one here that I've reviewed for you, and then this one here. Other people review Lego compatible sets. BrickMeUpScotty.com is a great place to go to purchase Lego compatible sets. You can use the discount code. You can use Drmcbrick. That should get you a discount on this particular model. And I don't get anything for it, but I don't want anything for it. But you will get something off, hopefully, if you use that code. But I just like the way they describe stuff. Now I marked this because one thing I saw in this manual that I haven't seen any other brick company do is there's a piece here, a curved piece, and you build it and it has to go around here, right? Well, most models, most Lego compatible type of models will just say, hey, just put it right there. Well, this one says, put it over here, but use these 4 studs to connect it with. That I think is excellent. Now, I haven't seen that before. Maybe Lego does do that. Maybe other companies do that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that I think is wonderful. And they do that all throughout the manual. And that's to help people to see exactly use these top 4 stud or anti-studs, not the bottom ones, because if you do it, then it'll be on correctly. If you don't do it, it won't be on correctly. So again, there's no guessing with these models, in terms of the instruction manuals. I just think their instruction manuals are great. Their colors, their hues of their colors are excellent, very good. In terms of clutch, the clutch, I would say, is about a B. And I say this because, Lego obviously is the gold standard for clutch, but this is probably not, it's definitely not up to Lego clutch power, but it is nothing like a lot of other sets I've seen. These actually hold together. They go together nicely. There are a couple of issues with some warping that, when the model came and stuff like that. Honestly, I don't know what that's from, but it could be, I don't know, it could be from, sitting out on my porch for a couple hours, in the heat of Florida or whatever, waiting for me to get home and get the package. But for the most part, the clutch is really good. Things hold on, things hold together, all that sort of thing. Don't have to worry about it. All that. I love the pipes. Very reminiscent of the Steamboat Willie that Lego did a few years back. Anyway, I would say the clutch is probably about a B plus in terms of that. It is good enough, and it is actually good. And I haven't had a problem with it. There were times when you really had to push, you really had to connect and make sure things were connected properly. Any details that you do see on this model that maybe aren't exactly what was in the instructions, and I think I only made 1 or 2 mistakes, but those are my mistakes, not the company's mistake. I had all the parts I needed. There wasn't missing a single piece. As a matter of fact, they provided lots of extra pieces and all that sort of thing. So I'm really happy with it. I'm going to give it a mic score of an A-, to be quite honest with you. It's not quite an A+, because of the clutch power and because you really sometimes have to, you kind of have to keep pressing things to get them going, and all that sort of thing. But it is really good. And so yes. So I would encourage you to pick this model up if you haven't, if you like Popeye, if you like display pieces, and if you have other Lego compatible sets in your collection and you want great parts after you build it and have fun with it, because there are amazing parts. I mean, all kinds. You can see all kinds of amazing parts throughout this. So let's take a look at the minifigures. This comes with really 3 minifigs, a baby fig, and a Jeep, and I'll explain that. But this is Popeye, and they do a good job representing Popeye. Of course, the painting on the torso is pretty good. The sleeves, they really kind of phoned it in on the sleeves, if you ask me, even though he does have his trademark anchor there. They didn't do the sleeves all the way around. And of course, no one's minifigures are as good as Legos, if you ask me. However, I do think that this is one of the better minifigs compatibles that I have seen in a long time. And it's molded on both sides. He's got his shoes and stuff. I'm just not a fan of the way it's kind of like, it looks like he just has a little flap there for the shoulders. But yeah, I think they did a good job. I think it was very, very wise and genius to use a mini doll type of compatible figure here for Olive Oyl, because if you look at Popeye and you look at Olive Oyl in the series, of course, you know, Olive Oyl was very tall, lanky, and all that sort of thing. And so I think it was extremely clever that they used a mini doll for this. And when you put them up on the ship, you know, they look totally normal and they look to scale and stuff. Now there, of course, is the little Sweet Pea. And I'll challenge you down in the comments to let me know how they got Sweet Pea, how Popeye and Olive Oyl got Sweet Pea. It's not in the way you're thinking, I can tell you that. Sweet Pea was adopted. But tell me how they came about it in the comments below. I would love to hear that and see if you are correct. Now, remember the nemesis in the Popeye series was Bluto. And Bluto was this big muscular guy and everything like that. And I love Bluto. They did a really good job here. Now, interestingly enough, Bluto's last name was Cigar. And he used to smoke cigar, right? He used to smoke cigars back in the day when smoking was popular. And that was obviously a homage to Chris Seeger, who created the Popeye series. Now, Bluto at one point was called Brutus because there was some copyright issues and they were concerned about using the term Bluto. But Bluto is how I know him. And at the bus stop every morning, my buddy and I used to talk about the Popeye episode that we'd watch that morning and talk about how Bluto and Popeye were fighting over Olive Oyl and, you know, and everything like that. I really think that the reason one of this series worked so much back in the day was because Popeye, Olive Oyl, and Bluto were just regular people. They weren't fancy. They weren't, you know, great lookers. They weren't all this kind of stuff. They were just regular folks. And during the Depression, people wanted to see regular folks, you know, and it made them feel that, you know, they too could solve problems and could get through things. And then, of course, the last figure that's included in this set is the Jeep. And so let me know where the Jeep came from too, because I want to know if any of you out there know your Popeye lore. But anyway, the Jeeps originally came from the Thimble Theater, and there was a whole family of them and all that kind of stuff, and adults and things like that. But this was the Jeep that kind of held over. That's not a very great Jeep in a sense of a figure. Their noses were much bigger, if you remember, but that's kind of, you know, it works. It works for this particular set and things like that. So those are the minifigs that come with the set. Again, it's very playable. It's also very displayable. So with that, I encourage you to go to the link, check it out, see what you think, and let me know what you think, especially about these reviews I've been doing as well. I was very excited to build this because of, you know, just loving Popeye and always, you know, laughing in the morning and getting ready for school. I remember one time my grandmother told me, you know, well, Popeye eats spinach, so why don't you? And I'm like, you know, seriously, Grandma, Popeye's a cartoon character, so can I have ice cream instead? The spinach thing didn't work for me, but spinach sales went up 34% when at the peak of Popeye's popularity. And they actually did a study, I think it was in 2010, that showed that kids that watch Popeye, even today, tend to eat more spinach than those who don't. So very, very interesting. So with that, please like this video, share it if you're so inclined. Subscribe to my channel, buy my merch down below if you'd like. I got all kinds of things for sale. I'm gonna stick with the channel for now, but I am selling some of my sets probably. Now, if somebody, of course, wants to make me a big offer for my entire Lego collection and my entire brick collection, please let me know, and I will entertain offers. But until then, I'm going to continue to do these reviews. I'm also going to continue to to build mocks and be present and continue to bore people, I guess, with this. So if you want to stay tuned, watch the speed build. It's coming up next. If not, thanks for stopping by and watching this video. This is Drmcbrick. Speed.